I thought this would be a little bit of a chatty vlog because we're into round 2 of edits. So what does a writer do when she needs to let her work sit and marinate so she can come back to it with fresh eyes and edit it again? Hello, I always have these interesting flyaways thing at the top here and at the sides. My hair just flies away. What can I tell you? So, hi, my name's Leanne Shawler. I'm an artist and a writer, and today it's another issue of The End Diaries, vlogging the 4th book of a trilogy, or it might be the 5th book now given the novella. Nah, we'll still call it the 4th book. Why change my marketing now? The 4th book in a trilogy of a fantasy romance in which our heroine and her friends seek Arthurian treasures during the Regency period, that's the time of Jane Austen, in order to save the world from ecological collapse, and there are shape-shifting sea dragons. So what have I been doing while I've been letting my work marinate? Well, you know, there's the house stuff. Done a little bit of that. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. I've done some mending.
I'm like, wait, I actually need to think about the plot of book 2 and like where things will go, so it might take a couple of days. But that is my next objective, is to write all this up.
This past week, I did some mending. I have patches upon patches on these pairs of jeans, but honestly, they're so comfortable. I am willing to patch on patch until there's more patch than jean, because the fabric is getting old and starting to rot away. So now I'm actually replacing the insides with fabric just to keep it going a bit longer. We'll see how that goes. I hate to shop for new jeans because, well, if you're a woman, you know why. And because that is such exciting footage, I thought that I would show you a recent op shop haul, or thrift shop haul, for those of you in the States. So anyway, let's get to a little bit of show and tell. I'm going to show you some of my paintings that I've been doing recently, in addition to some other little bits and bobs that I have, maybe even something writing related. So one of the things I've been doing is writing letters and cards during my downtime, and I sent those off yesterday. And while I was in the town for the post office, I thought it's time to hit some op shops. Shall we see what I got? So there was this cute little eyelet apron. Isn't that cute? Like, it's filthy. It needs a wash. Well, that's definitely going to the wash. I just did the wash. That's too bad. So I got this. It may get chopped up for book purposes, but it may also just go into my stash, because I cleaned out a lot of my fabric stash when I moved out here. So when I'm mending a skirt, this could actually kind of like go in as a panel. Or I do have plans to make a doily top that could go with like a longer base part of it anyway. So there's that. And then I've been thinking about the journal making for Idethia in particular. What I really want to do is make a journal cover like Sara Jane. Whoever it is, Sara Armstrong. I'll link to her videos below, and in particular the cover that I want to make. It requires sewing, and I hand sew. I mean, it took me that montage you only saw a little bit of mending, about 3 hours to do 2 pairs of jeans and a pair of shorts. So I'm not the fastest of sewers, but I thought this would make perfect fabric. It's an old pillowcase. We'll I have a seam ripper somewhere, so we will seam rip, theoretically, hopefully, and pull this apart and turn it into a book cover for Idethia's journal, because, you know, it's the last journal for Idethia, so we may as well go all out, is my feeling. And with the advent of the novella, I now have extra time to make things. I'm going to use this for the lining. So the only thing I have to worry about being right side up is this fabric. And I had 2 of these in case, you know, one wasn't enough. And then what I will do, if you look at Sara's, the lovely Sara from New Zealand, her video is patchwork on the top of that. Just stitch bits of laces and fabric on top. That's my thinking. That's actually my op shop haul. I bought a magazine, Country Life. It's the British one. You know, just to, let's find a good picture. Really, let's find a good picture, guys. These huge old mansions that no one can ever afford. 2.25 million. Jacobian in the Dartmoor National Park. Oh, that's gorgeous. Anyway, so I do love living the life I'm never going to live. I used to subscribe to this magazine, so now it's kind of cool that I found it in my local newsagents. These have come downstairs because this is going to go and get cut up. It is a printout of the Morning Chronicle, London Morning Chronicle from 1819, thereabouts. And these are going to go into, I think, a scrapbook, which is going to form part of that journal. So that actually is that. I've been making tiny paintings. I thought I'd show you some. I got this paper in Japan last year when we did a cruise around Japan. I would love to spend more time in that country, especially Kyoto, which was a complete zoo. And I'm 90% sure, or at least 90% of it was just the tour that we were on. It was just not a great tour. So I actually want to sit and experience Kyoto at a slower pace, if that's possible. So this is the Itsu Shukima Shrine. Are we focused? Where are we? There we go. Now I don't know when he told it. I think this is the sunset of Kagoshima. Now, it's not the best paper. You can see there's pilling all over that. It's not made for watercolor, but I have my little Japanese gouache watercolor set, and by golly, that's what we did. And these are some barrier islands, I think coming into Kobe, but I'm not entirely sure. They're pretty. And then because they're so tiny, doing a whole plant is difficult. So we've gone for details. This is super abstract, but I kind of like it. The colors were brighter red, but there wasn't a brighter red in my palette. Because it's very nice. But yeah, the only downside of this palette, so this is it. It's the Kuretake Gumbai papers. Gumbai colors. That's what they look like. But if you notice, there's not a real white and there's not a real, like, very dark color. This color here is the one I've been using for my darkest darks. And this is my lightest lights. I've actually been getting a white gel pen and doing that, because otherwise it just was not getting, like, highlights. And then I ink around the edges often. I mean, going for close detail. That's a kale or a cabbage or something. That was a Hiroshima. This was on the door of a Buddhist temple. Oh, that was really cool. This was in Kagoshima. It was things shaped like a bird. Didn't do too badly on that one. So a cherry tree and a pine tree. This was, I think, in Tokyo. Yeah, near the Zoji temple. Zojoji temple. And they have these gorgeous statues of little children, guardian spirits for children. That was a beautiful part of the... And it was cherry blossom season. Oh, hang on, pick it up. So we have cherry blossoms. This was a gate. All right, I don't think I need to do any more. I am about 80. No, wait. What's my last one? 30. I have 70 more to go because I want to do 100 tiny paintings. And then these are 2 in progress. This one's almost done. This one I have to do some layering on top of. So my art group starts back in February, but I've been trying to keep these up during the downtime. Now, I don't have any footage of this because I forgot. but I have started. I did, in my last video, you would have seen me talk about how I was going to export or print the manuscripts to do a second read through. I figured both of them needed light editing. The novella, as it turns out, because I did the markup of the manuscripts yesterday on my iPad, haven't lost anything so far. If it was wood to knock on, I would knock on it. But I have marked that manuscript up because it's only 7 chapters. It's not that big of a file. So I think that may have saved me. And so I am now putting those edits in. And there were quite a few of them, but including the dreaded more, see that video. So I've almost finished chapter 1, did that last night during our co-writing session, which was also, I spent time scheduling a few more chapters because I like to schedule them in advance, because if I left it up to my memory to do it on time, it would not happen. So I schedule them in advance. And so I've got that done. A little bit of work on the collaboration, which I have pushed back further down the line. By the time you see this, I will have already announced to my subscribers over at the Mordred Chronicles my publication schedule for the year. Let's see if I can remember it, because I did not bring that down with me. So April 11th is when Assault for Wellington finishes serializing. We will then switch to the new novella, which has a title, Celine's Vow. Stay tuned for a trailer on that. I'm going to put a trailer together for that, just for funsies. And then that runs for 7 weeks. So the beginning of June, we will have the collaboration roundup post. And again, there will be a video on the collaboration and what we're talking about. So it's going to be like shared stories in a shared universe, and we're just going to do our own thing, basically, but just have the same feeling, zeitgeist, vibe, that there's a weird theme, basically. That's the word I'm looking for. There will be a theme for this collaboration. So that's going to be rolling out probably early April now. It was going to be published in April last time, and now I'm going to start sending out the invitations, opening it up in April. So that's coming up at the beginning of June, and then the second Saturday in June will be our first post of book 4, which has a new title. I have changed it from A Soul for the World because more souls got involved. And 2 souls for the world just sounded weird. So we're going to change it to A Gift for the World. So if you've been following along, you've heard about the gifting, and that's where I just decided to go with that one. So yes, and then that's going to run for 44 weeks. And somewhere in there, we'll do another season of Obsidian and Flame. I need to write that and have a plot. I don't know that it's stuck. But the plan is to come up with, to write that at some point. And then there's the Thurian prequel that I would like to work on, and then the sequel involving the kids, maybe. That might just be a pipe dream. That might be a 2028 project. Who knows? So anyway, so that's, I just want to come down here and have a little chitty chat, show you a few things that I got. Yeah, wasn't that exciting, because, you know, watching me edit is not that exciting. So when I did the read-through of the novella, I, of course, found all this old writing that I thought I excised when I condensed it into from novel to novella. Found a few more. He could see, she thought she could feel, whatever. You know, really clumsy sentences. So I found those, I need to tidy those up. And of course, the dreaded more came in because I got down some dialogue in the new stuff and didn't show it. And I'm doing the same thing in the older material. Or I would say, like, you know, Celine suppressed her anger. And I'm like, well, instead of telling people that, how about we show it a little bit? So, so that's on the docket for this coming week, is to get the novella done. And then I can switch gears and work on the novel. I'm looking at my dollhouse just behind you. And I'm like, I need to finish that. I need to do the exterior. It needs a little extra love. I just need to add some additional details to the exterior, you know, make it a little bit more older, lived in, scruffier, add some moss and some drips from, you know, the rain and some of the off-white is really off-white. And I think once I've done that and made some people, it's done. Oh, I have to do some little tweaks inside Idathea's bedroom. And I'll eventually do videos and a tour on that, so stay tuned. All right, I have blabbered on long enough. I have to go do some more house stuff this morning. I promised myself I would start chair yoga. Today I will not inflict you with that footage, and maybe get some more editing done. Editing me popping in quick to add to say, regardless of how much of this blather I went on about the end of the book, my goal is not only just to make it not black and white, but not didactic either. So I don't want to prescribe a particular way of thinking or a theology. I'm just using that to inform how I am writing the end of the book. Okay, here we go. I have my list of chapters here for editing round 2 of A Gift for the World, and this is the novella edits, which need to get finished first, and I've just put it on the other side of that. So it's Sunday, so I'm going to go do that now until it's lunchtime, and then I'm going to actually hopefully either get this done today, or we will switch and spend the afternoon reading A Gift for the World and do those edits tomorrow. Mileage may vary, we shall see. I got 2 more chapters edited today before lunch, 2 more to go on the novella. But I did switch gears. I normally just do my Substack reading, my magazine reading on Sunday afternoons, and this week we have been doing novel reading. The first 5 chapters of book 4 are cracker. They're really good. It got a bit draggy, but that just might be me being tired. But I have read 15 chapters. So tomorrow morning I will go through and edit those 15 chapters because I'm a bit afraid the PDF is going to keel over on me and die, and I will lose the edits I've made on my iPad. And then we'll go back and read some more chapters, do those edits, so on and so on. By the time you see this, I'll be back from my trip, but I'm going away to Melbourne this coming weekend, so I'm hoping I can get this done. And then when I come back from Melbourne, I can do a read-through just to make sure everything is still flowing. I seem to have lost something, or I've put some early diary entries somewhere else that doesn't make sense. But other than that, it seems to be going well. 33 chapters. That means I have... I can't math. 33. I have 11 more to go if I'm doing my math correctly. And if not, I can always add another checkbox or take one away. 33 chapters in a day is pretty dang good. It's been really light edits for the most part. The biggest changes I've had to make is some ordering of the scenes. I had some reveals that occurred a little bit too early, so I had to adjust and change those around, and then I changed some scenes and then put them back exactly where I found them. It happens. So tomorrow, I don't have a whole lot of time, I think, tomorrow. I'll have to have a look at my schedule. But maybe we can finish tomorrow or Wednesday. Oh, no. Well, this should look a little different because yesterday I only had 2 columns. I did some math this morning. Around 44 chapters there, so I've added another 2 columns. And there's 2 more checkboxes, one for the story that comes right before the novel launches really is part of the novel. And the secondary sources have its own section in Scrivener, so I gave them a checkbox too. So I have made all my edits. Let me just switch the camera view. I'm just going to have to put up with all the noises of Australia today. It is the 26th of January, which is a national holiday. Some of us call it Invasion Day rather than Australia Day, but never mind all that. Not celebrating. So, except, everything is closed because it's a holiday and people are home and mowing their lawns. So I have typed in the edits of the first 16 chapters of book 4. It is cracking along. These are very light edits. I'm actually quite impressed that I did so well in the first round. There's been a few places here and there where I've had to tweak a little more, but on the whole, it's moving pretty well. I wrote something this morning which will be well and truly out by the time you see this, if indeed I do decide to post it. Just talking a bit about what is happening. I might be in here in Australia, but I did spend 26 and a half years in the United States, so it's been a bit distressing to say the least. And I wrote something about how it's colouring book 4 and how it has been from the beginning. So that's actually been interesting to reflect upon. And I might share more about that here, but I might do that a bit closer in more general terms when I've had a bit more space closer to the book's release. So you have that to look forward to. Now I'm going to go read a bunch of chapters, probably until my husband turns the football on. And then I will have to move to a different part of the house. So yes, that's American football. Okay, we are halfway through. I have 22 more chapters to read and edit. The edits are super light. Just a couple of things that I've missed on the first pass. I rearranged a few scenes because they felt really out of place. So they've actually gone back into chronological order. I had them like right after something that happened so you could see how somebody else was reacting to it. And it just felt weird. Like we've known stuff has happened to these people since we saw them last, and then we're going back to something earlier. Didn't make any sense. So we're sticking with the chronological. And now I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to turn on, I'm not going to record this. I'm going to turn on this phone, which is what I used to film. I'm going to do some sprints, pre-recorded. So I'm just going to, so I actually get up and move. Otherwise, I will just sit reading this book for the rest of the day. And that's not exactly what we want to do. All right, let's get to. We're done. We are done with round 2 of edits. We are done with book 4 of the Mordred Chronicles. So I guess this is the end diaries. I was all ready to celebrate with you. It was pretty easy reading. There were some big things I had to change. I couldn't save the darling that I cut from last time and moved somewhere else. It really didn't fit where I put it. So I'll save it for another pair of characters, or if these two turn up in a future book, we might have to do that. And I had actually managed to repeat things a few times, so they got cut, those repetitions, to keep everything flowing. I love this book. It is, if you've read any of the novels leading up to this, including the one that's currently being serialized over on my publication, the Mordred Chronicles, you know that things go kind of swimmingly most of the time. For Idathea and her friends, not book 4. Book 4 is reality, I guess. I think I mentioned in an earlier thing that I filmed for this that when I was reading through it, I was seeing parallels with what's happening in our current world. And I want to say I didn't love that, but actually I think it's quite good. And also I managed to land the resolution without tying it up into a pretty bow. It's not one and done. It's going to keep, the work has to continue as it would in real life. and they just had it helped along, a little reboot with magic, which wouldn't we all love a little bit of magic right now? So I'm very excited and happy that this is all rounded up and finished, except I am going to go back in a few days and reread 4 chapters, which is the stuff where I had to really get in and excise all the duplications, the repetitions, because I'd managed to tell the story like 3 times to make sure it's all still flowing, that those cuts are there, and that we're not just dropping things out of the blue, as I've found in 1 or 2 places already, and just make sure that bit flows. So I think I'm supposed to do some sort of meaningful reflection on what it was like to write the book. Not today. Today we're done. And I can't wait for y'all to read some of this stuff. It is cracker. If you haven't started, you need to head on over to my publication, projectstarfish.substack.com, and get going. I am in the works also. Well, I've started. I haven't finished. I'm going to put together a PDF.epub file for my subscribers only. So there will be a hidden link for subscribers somehow. I think I can just send it to them by email. I think there's a way to do that. I'll have to check that out. Anyway, and not publish it to the website. So there'll be a hidden link, and that's where you'll be able to get the first 2 books. When Sword for Wellington is finished, then I will look at doing an EPUB PDF of that. I'm not going to publish it anywhere. It's just going to be, well, I'm not going to publish it on a platform anywhere except one that I'm currently using. So that'll make it a little easier for you to catch up in time for when things start in June for book 4, because you've been hearing about it. You're going to want to read it, right? There were 2 things I forgot to mention. So let's talk about those things as part of the round 2 edits. The first is, you might recall earlier in this video, I said that I was going to save some trees and put the files into a PDF, and it would, I would do writing sprints. So I would read a batch, edit that batch, read a batch. My edits went much faster than my reading because there were very few edits to be made. But as I feared, because the last 2 times I've tried to use my iPad Pro and Apple Pencil using a PDF document to annotate, it crashed. There were some words dropped. You can use your imagination and then, use a trucker's imagination. And yeah, so fortunately, I didn't lose anything. I did take that moment to finish reading that chapter, and then I went and made those changes that I hadn't made yet. And that was kind of my attitude throughout the last few days was, so that took me 3 days to get this done, was read the chunk, edit that chunk, read a chunk, edit that chunk. So I was afraid, like with Obsidian and Flame, I lost half of my edits when the PDF crashed. So I didn't want a repeat of that. I don't know if it's different this time because I've now upgraded to the new operating system on my iPad, and I now have the preview app there, and it opened it in that instead of iBooks or whatever the native thing was before. Maybe that solved my losing information problem. I don't know. But anyway, in this case, nothing was lost, and that's a good thing. The other thing was I did hit a moment, I had a couple of them actually, one was really bad, where one character declared their love for another character. I'm like, no, I don't believe that. I do not believe that in the slightest. And it was not the pair of characters that I had to cut the repetition from. It was a different pair of characters, and I'm like, I do not want to be rewriting this. I think I've been joking in earlier videos when I was writing the first draft of this that I was trying desperately to get the 1-bed trope, and these 2 resisted me all the way. All the way. At one point, I had succeeded, and then when I read it, I'm like, no, I do not believe this. So it didn't happen. which is not to say that the relationship didn't get sorted out later, but so that didn't happen. I want to do a full reflection video, I think, where I just sit and talk to you about book 4. And it may take, I might pull some earlier video clippage from that, make it 2 separate videos. We'll see how much time this thing takes up, and I will divvy it up accordingly. So those are the 2 updates I wanted to make. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you liked this video, and if you didn't like it, don't do anything, just go away. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to receive notifications, click that notifications bell. Although, you know, I have mine turned off, so totally cool if you do too.